So I wasn't originally going to upload a video today because I wanted to change my upload schedule, but then Bungie has decided to drop this TWab, or TWID, as they're now called, and needless to say, the community is just downright outraged. So if you go to X or maybe even Reddit, I haven't actually checked Reddit myself, but I imagine it's the same as X or Twitter. Basically, everybody is raging about, like, either little bits of the TWID or just how bad it is in general. But before I carry on with the TWID, ding dong, the witch is dead, Pete Parsons is no longer in charge of Bungie. It is now Justin Truman. And before anybody gets hyped about that, remember that this is the guy who didn't want to over-deliver. So until I've seen what he can do, basically post-Revenant, I am not going to be excited for anything. So first thing in the TWID was the Desert Perpetual Epic Raid, and obviously the TWID will be linked in the description if you want to do a full read of this, but I'm just going to go over the highlights. So there is going to be a contest mode for the first 48 hours, which I'm quite surprised by, to be honest, because the fact that a raid now has 2 contest modes means that Bungie is just trying to milk the ever-living hell out of contest mode and day ones, which as a modifier wouldn't be a bad thing, but when you're offering multiple prizes out for the same raid, it pretty much dilutes the prizes. And I know, that's a shocking thing to say considering how many cheaters there were for the day 1 race last time. But with this epic raid, there is also a new modifier, or kind of way to play, which is a Notswap update. And what this will basically do is if you change your exotic, or your legendary armor, or any kind of weapon ammo types, like for example, a special ammo weapon in the kinetic slot goes into your energy slot, it will reset all the ammo that you have, it will reset your super, your ability energy, and also remove all the ammo and orbs on the ground. Not gonna lie, this sounds like complete overkill, but I am not gonna be judging it too harshly until I see it in action, because you aren't technically swapping loadouts by doing this, because you can still use surges and whatnot when you swap your armor pieces. And then on top of that, if you're using the same ammo type kind of special weapon, then you don't need to worry about the ammo swaps either. So whilst it hasn't fixed hot swapping per se, it hasn't exactly changed anything for the better either. And now moving on to the Portal updates, which is where I have the biggest problem. In typical Bungie fashion, they're also adding more modifiers that nobody asked for. So there's going to be explosive weapons, medieval weapons, and Old West weapons, because who uses all of them, right? The truth is, nobody is, because everybody wants to just clear everything as effectively as possible, and they don't want to get kneecapped or penalised every single time they use something different. And the thing that blows my mind is that Bungie actually wants to develop them to be even more specific, so they even stated down here they want it to include weapons that only have Firefly or full auto retrofit. Honestly, whoever is coming up with these modifiers needs to be fired ASAP, because they're just making the Portal experience absolutely miserable for everybody. Something they were keeping an eye on though was the Portal activities. So basically they were monitoring which activities were being cleared, how many times they were being cleared, and what times they were being cleared. And in their infinite wisdom, they are deciding to change a few things. So, Encore. End activity engrams is reduced to 2. The mid activity chest is reduced to 2. Not gonna lie, this basically just reads as basically Encore is only going to have 2 rewards that actually benefit you. The reason I say that is because every time I remember getting the chest in Encore, it was always my power level. So unless Bungie is going to be changing the mid-activity chest so it rewards you with gear more powerful than what you've got, it is going to be a colossal waste of time. And whilst I have been running Encore and Starcross solo every now and again, I can guarantee you that when these reward changes come into effect, I am not even going to bother trying. They've also made a few changes on the Fireteam side, which is actually increasing some of the rewards, which is good, I suppose. But then again, if you want me to run a 30-wave onslaught, where it's going to take me about, 30-40 minutes, then yes, I'd expect the same amount of rewards than I get in Encore. Now then, Prime Engrams. This is another sore point of the community, because now we have to go and decrypt their Master Rahul. Whoever decided to change this back, please get them fired as well, because it is a horrific idea and should never have happened. Fireteam Ops coming out in Ash and Iron all look terrible, so it's either I'm going to just try and force myself to go through it all, or I'm just going to play another game, because September is just stacked with games as it is. Something that is incredibly alarming as well is a change to the Pinnacle Ops activities. 3 dungeon layers. Now, if they literally just mean dungeons in general, then fantastic, dungeons have been added to the portal. But when they say layers, I get very scared, because that might imply it's only in one encounter of the dungeons. And if that is the case, then what the fuck are you playing at? Honestly, if the dungeon layers are just the single encounters, I think that might be enough just for me to turn this game off, because at that point, you are just royally taking the piss. And yes, I'll be making a video if it does happen, just to go over why I basically quit the game at that point, but I'm going to hold on to the extremely narrow chance that it's actually just the 4 dungeons. We're talking about solo ops bonuses. They're reducing the power that you get from solo ops. Big fucking stupid idea. I went over in a previous video how you could make literally every single lot more rewarding, and it was so fucking simple, but it's still just incomprehensible for Bungie for some reason. Just make a system where if you're playing the same activity over and over again, you get less rewards, and if you are not playing the other activities, they slowly increase in rewards. It's pretty fucking simple to do. But anyway, going to just reel it back in and breathe a little bit because I'm not going to lose my mind too much. So, now there's something that is actually, I suppose, a good thing that might have been overlooked. So in the future changes, a new solo operative score boost in Fireteam and Pinnacle Ops for solo players. Finally, it means that I am not going to be struggling like mad to go through the Fireteam Ops and not getting the score I need. Because my god, despite the fact that I can actually do it on higher difficulty levels, it is just frustrating as hell when you get to the end and you're off by like 100 score. Okay, the reason I'm laughing at this is because the fact that it's took them so long to put this in the game is just funny to me. But in case you aren't aware why I'm laughing, we've had an extension made, like, from the API ages ago that would basically allow you to install it onto a browser like Google Chrome or something like that, and you'd then be able to go onto the Bungie website and reclaim all your previous rewards. So the fact that this is now in place is hilarious to me, because they basically just stole that idea. So yeah, truly nothing is off limits when it comes to plagiarism at Bungie. Just fucking wow. And oh my god, they have made this even worse. So there's a new currency coming out called Chronologs. And whilst I wouldn't scoff at a new currency, because let's face it, you can exchange it for some pretty decent rewards here, which is the Deep Side Harmonizers, which going to be invaluable, being as you can't get them anymore. Ascendant Shards, Ascendant Alloys, Prisms, Exotic Ciphers, Synth Weave, Strange Coins, even weird bright engrams, which I'm kind of surprised by, but they're definitely going to be on a cap because Bungie doesn't like to give away things for free. But the thing that bothers me about this the most is now that you can buy previous season passes again. But the reason this pisses me off is that Bungie is so goddamn greedy that they actually want to try and sell you old content. This would be fine if it was an actual DLC, like let's say you've not played Forsaken or you've not played Beyond Light and they wanted to sell you that as a DLC. That's fine, you're getting a load of content. But the fact that they're trying to charge you 600 silver, which, yes, it's a discounted rate, for an old season pass, so they've not had to do any work whatsoever. So not only is this a dash of plagiarism by Bungie, it is also downright lazy. But that is the end of the TWAB, so yeah. Pretty much a shit show going towards Bungie's direction, which is not a surprise at this point anymore, because that seems to happen every week. I would like to say they'd be able to fix something in the 2.5 weeks they've got left, but this is Bungie, and I don't think they can arrange anything in 2.5 weeks, so it's looking very bleak. But anyway, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments, because there's bound to be opinions aplenty for this, and I shall see you all in the next video.